Hi friends, I'm here with
Rosianna Halse Rojas,
who you probably know because many of you found me through her. But we're here today at the Creators for Change Summit in London. A while ago, I made a video about my personal mythology. The stories that I tell about myself are part of how I define who I am. I wanted to get to know what other people's personal mythologies are. How do other people use story to think about their own identities? So today we're going to talk to Rosianna about the stories that she uses to create her own identity.
I was thinking about this really hard because I think all of these top line things came to me. So when I describe myself, it's like writer, producer, feminist. That's kind of the three big things that come up. But one that I don't use but that still really defines me is drawing and painting and kind of art making in general. And I think that's partly because I don't share that as much. Sometimes I'll share something in process and sometimes I'll share something complete, but it's not important to me to share it as any part of that. Whereas with writing and video making and all these other things, they're very outward facing and external. I'm still don't think of myself as an artist. I just think of myself as like someone who makes, someone who draws, someone who paints, which I don't know what that says about myself. Probably like a self-confidence thing. My mum's an amazing painter, but who doesn't really paint that much anymore, which is such a shame. She painted a lot with oils and they're all around her home. My oldest sister is an artist, but when I was younger and she was a teenager, she was doing a lot with charcoal and oils and just like figuring out, experimenting a lot. So I grew up always being handed, you know, oh, like, let's keep Rosianna entertained. Like, give her a pad of paper and some pens in a restaurant. And then when I went to secondary school, I was really excited because I knew that art was a more formalized class, whereas in primary school, which is like before the age of 11, it's just like having an hour and you just kind of do whatever you want and you play with water. But in secondary school, I knew it was a more formalized class and I was very excited to learn about technical skills and all of this stuff. But I got to that class and I found it really hard and I didn't enjoy anything about it. I still remember like we were drawing, I think a clementine or something that was like in segments. And I remember like feeling my teacher, who's a lovely, lovely woman, but she came in and she was like, oh, the lines are too hard. And I was just like, that's how I draw. Like I draw with hard lines. I draw with all these edges. I like had a very clear vision of like what I wanted to make. I felt like I was trying to do it and these people, they'd say, no, you're still not trying to do it in a different way. I actually like pretty much stopped entirely drawing and painting and making recreationally. A couple of years later in the UK, you can drop subjects after a certain age. I dropped art. And I started drawing again. And it kind of happened like I would like take notes in every single class, but then they'd all, looking back at them now, they all have like doodles along the side. It was a sense of like giving myself permission to do this thing as a fun thing, as a recreational thing, and as a form of expression that didn't have that level of judgment.
That's interesting that you had such a confident sense of like, this is my style, this is what I do. Because I think a lot of artists that I've talked to, that it takes them a while to come out of this is what I've learned to this is how my art differs from everyone else's art, but you came in with that.
Yeah, and I think part of it I'm realizing now is a lot of the color palettes I use and like the kind of shapes I use are very derivative of like Mexican drawing and Mexican artwork, whether that's things that I now connect to like, oh, we had like a table mat, like in a dinner table mat that looked like that pattern, or like the color schemes are very similar to the colors in my home, which were very like orange and blue, and like our house was blue and everyone else in like the UK neighborhood was like, what's going on? It was a place for establishing that identity. I think one of the big things that making art gives me is time. It's focused time in which I'm not thinking about other things. I don't have other distractions. I'm just working on something and everything can change, the different pressure of it, and also just the train of thought where I go, what I'm making changes along the process of making it. And then the other thing that it has very directly helped me with is with my YouTube channel, feeling like I don't have to make one type of thing. I can make all sorts of different types of video and in different styles with different lengths, different sound, and that freedom to make different kinds of art in my personal life has definitely made it easier when I'm sharing something to just kind of throw at the wall whatever sticks, and yeah, I feel like it's an open space as well.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. And in the comments, I want to hear your stories as well. Has art affected your life or been part of your identity at any point? Were you, like Rosianna, an artist as a young person, and did that change as you grew older? Rosianna, where can people find your work?
So people can find my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Rosianna.
Fantastic. Well, if you like this video, you can subscribe. You can find me anywhere on the internet at ItsRadishTime. You can find Rosianna at several places, which I'll link in the description. And I'll see you next week. Bye. Cool.
Yay!